What's up, Felix Fleer and Jonas Landwehr here, and today we are reading between the lines of our track Secrets featuring LAINE. So let's go. Maybe should we first talk a bit about the workflow that we have in general?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, because I think it's a bit unusual, because actually fairly rarely do we actually make music while in the same room. So usually one of us just starts with a little sketch and then we send over the stems. Then the other person starts working on it for another 10 hours and then it goes back and forth.
Yeah, basically all the plugins used here in this project are not the amount of plugins used in general on all the stems.
Yeah, because all of these audio materials that you see here have already been processed various times in both of our DAWs. And then the story of this track, LAINE, the vocalist that is featured here, she was at my place here and we were working on some music, and then Jonas sent over pretty much all of these drum sounds that he designed as one-shot samples.
Yeah, and you did the basic rhythm then.
Yeah, and then I created this basic rhythm that you hear here. Also with the bass line and this little chord progression. And this took like 5 minutes or so. Yeah, just super quick actually, super quick. And then LAINE started singing over it. We recorded all of the vocal elements within an hour pretty much. You can get a little glimpse here. This is the chorus, which repeats back here in the arrangement again.
So the track in general, I think it's like a mixture of pop meets club. Yeah. So there is some structure, but not the typical structure of a pop tune, let's say.
Yeah, where you usually have like verse, chorus, whatever kind of rules pop producers are following. And we basically just went with our instinct. And then whenever we said there needs to be a little break here on instrumental part, we just did it the way it felt right to us, instead of following any compositional arrangement rules, whatever.
So then, did you write the chords after or before?
These basic chords here, I actually wrote them before she started singing, which is of course good so that she knows which key we are in and all that stuff. This was recorded with the Prophet. Ref 2. And I recorded it with fairly open filter, and then all of these automations here, they're actually just with the Ableton internal auto filter.
So you have more control if you want to change it.
Yeah, exactly. For example, here if you see the relationship between the filter automation and the vocals, you can actually see that the filter opens up whenever the vocal goes away. Baby, you know I need you. It's a subtle detail, but that's throughout all the vocal sections, so that there's a little bit more room for the vocal.
Actually, it's way cleaner than using like a EQ sidechain from, it's nice.
Yeah, and then what else we got? The bass line, I think, was either with the Moog Grandmother or the Prophet as well, I'm not sure. And if you look at the waveform here, it's actually going all the way through, which obviously doesn't make so much sense. But what I did here was adding some sort of auto filter. And if you open this little menu here, you can actually use a sidechain signal for the filter. So we have this ghost kick here, which goes throughout the entire track, which is the sidechain signal for the filter. So it always opens up in relation to the kick. Actually also interesting that there's only every second beat has actually a kick drum, but it still feels like a 4/4 track, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of breaks, but straight, but weird kind of.
Yeah, just the most simple kick pattern you imagine.
Yeah, because the second clap always is a bit front, right?
Yeah, I think it's not just 2 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it for the bass line. Doesn't do much really throughout the arrangement. I think it pretty much stays the same. Then we have a kick layer, which is a bit lower.
And I did the kick high because the bass line and the chords were quite dark, so you can like feel or hear it a little bit.
Yeah.
And one interesting layer to mention could be perhaps the noise groove, because it's actually has been also kick drum with a lot of distortion and noise, but I think you filtered out the kick drum part.
Yeah.
So it's just a rhythmic addition to the groove to glue it a little bit together, I think, and also to create some contrast compared to the chords to make it more, well, less romantic, let's say, because the chords are really deep and the strings.
You now take out the noise, it sounds very empty. And then with the noise, it's more liquid and gluey and I don't know, whatever.
You're welcome.
No. Then we have this additional Deckard's Dream group here, which consists of various layers. I think it's actually my favorite part of this track is the Deckard's Dream.
What's the riser?
Huh?
The riser?
What do you mean?
Yes, like a kind of...
It's some sort of envelope shit going on in the Deckard's Dream. I didn't do it on purpose, but it's super dope.
Okay.
It's like... I think it's maybe the glide portamento thing somehow, and some of the notes...
Like MIDI CC or no?
No, just playing around with this slider here. Yeah. Sounds also super dope. This more pan to the left, this one more to the right, and they are slightly detuned, obviously.
Actually, you can't release it as a song.
Yeah, this could be another track, just these two stems and some drums. Yeah, and then how we did these sounds that we used throughout the whole running in Waves EP a lot with the Deckard's Dream. It's actually quite cool. We have it here. Is you just play some notes and then you have this little slider here for each of the oscillators, which basically transposes the sound while it's playing. So this is
I think actually that's the reason you wanted to have a Deckard's Dream.
yeah,
kind
of. Because of this move, yeah.
Yeah, I also do it sometimes when I don't know what to do with the stems and just like...
Yeah, so actually usually we like perform this while the track is playing and then try to get... It's almost like something you have to practice for 10-20 minutes, and then when you have a little routine that kind of makes sense, then you go ahead and edit it. And yeah, here we actually did it twice, once for the left side, once for the right side. So this is where this super wide stereo sound is coming from. And I think for that we had to perfectly repeat the routine twice, basically. But there's some little difference, but yeah.
Complex.
Yeah, super great. Then what else do we got? Has this climax roughly in the middle of the track here, break 2, which I think is my favorite moment. Yeah, because the vocal starts to be chopped up in this very unnatural, futuristic kind of way here.
Secret, 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 secret.
And this is actually not even on the grid, this repetition. Because I was playing around with it until I was happy, and it's not actually any sort of division.
I thought it's like kind of thirds, but it's not.
No, it's if you zoom in here, you see that it's very irregular where it starts again, but it works. Yeah, this is what it sounds like in the entire context. And then also, I managed to sneak in a little Rhodes piano.
Actually, I didn't notice until you told me that you've used it.
Yeah, because I thought you wouldn't like it if I added a Rhodes, but I just made it so quiet.
Why do you think I wouldn't like it?
I don't know. In this track, I was worried you wouldn't like it in this particular track.
Okay.
And then even if you make it much louder, it didn't sound as good. It's a super tiny, subtle detail. Maybe you can You have to listen really closely in the track to actually hear it, but I think it adds another layer of emotion in some of the main climax moments. And then in terms of processing, one thing that's maybe interesting to mention, we have this little plugin here on the master, which I call tape, and it's basically just Ableton's external audio effect, this one here, where you just choose the in and outputs from the sound card, and then we ran the entire track through the Revox tape machine for some saturation and some noise. And we actually also added a bit of compression before already, so it went in with a fair bit of compression, but 50% dry wet, so that we already came in a bit louder, but we still had a bigger dynamic range, and so that some of the peaks of the signal were crushed by the tape, but still in such a subtle way that it could still be mastered afterwards by mastering engineer.
I think we didn't do too much because each stem had a lot of care and time and processing. So overall, you don't have to go too crazy with things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then maybe if you just look at this arrangement, it looks kind of lackluster, or as though there wasn't a lot of things happening with the drums. But actually, all of the drum arrangement pretty much happens by activating and deactivating this effects group here, which just filters all of the entire drum group.
So, and what I discovered, I think, during the period of the whole EP was kind of my modular, because I had it for maybe half a year or year, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I really like sounds that are kind of untypical, and I think we call it just zaps. And basically what I was doing, I think, was playing with resonances and a different kind of effects, such as beds by mutable instruments, and kind of filter peaks and pings. So, yeah.
Yeah, so if you listen through the track, you're gonna hear all of these zaps and effect sounds, especially in like transitional moments when the beat drops or when it gets filtered out, just to make these moments a bit more interesting. All right, I guess that's it for Secrets. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching.